It was the Canadian communications theorist Marshall McLuhan who once said, "The more the databanks record about each one of us, the less we exist." And it's the fear of these harms that led some people to resist the idea of data sharing and data linkage. Thought experiment. Close your eyes right now. What's the last media story about data linkage that you remember? You might have been thinking about a breach rather than something wonderful. The world's biggest data breaches. Although, from my perspective, arguments for their use are less forcefully promoted than the arguments cautioning against their misuse. In Butler's depiction, the valley of death is both the place where good ideas that can't make it across go to die, as well as patients who never had access to those medicines. This slide pointedly shows where the gap is between discovery of new molecular entities represented by NIH's budget on the left and phase 3 trials supported by the biopharmaceutical world on the right. The time had come to bridge the translational gap. Here's a proposal by my colleague Muin Khoury from the CDC. We were able to use Muin's template to construct a policy version of that same valley. I mentioned Clinton's announcement because in many ways it was the beginning of the first serious public conversation about the use of health data. It was important because it provided the first public opportunity to have a serious conversation about the power of science to reveal things about people that they themselves did not know. Here's Siegler's proposal from 32 years ago. How about having patients giving patients the opportunity to review their medical record and to make informed choices about whether the entire record is to be available to everyone or whether certain portions of the record are privileged and should be accessible only to the principal physician or to others designated explicitly by the patient. 32 years ago, Siegler made that radical proposal. How much privacy are we willing to protect in exchange for more information? Ethics, like economics, force you to carefully think about how to weigh, balance, and negotiate. We learned, among other things, that people have different reasons for giving, donating, allowing stuff to be used, as contrasted with authorizing, selling, or sharing. Those words actually matter. Many other studies of patient and public attitudes have been conducted, which I would suggest can be arrayed along a spectrum from very supportive to very much unsupportive. What they seem to collectively say is something in response to what I would call 5 big questions, the who, what, when, where, why questions. We've also begun to see data about the power of social media. There's a fascinating bit of data on what researchers think. We found more than 40 different reasons and considerations. It strikes me that we have come to what might be the heart of the problem, those responsible for policy development. The first explanation is that we have focused on the wrong problem. The list of questions on the left-hand side of this page are all reasonable questions to ask as part of a strategy to figure out what the impediments are to developing policy on data sharing and linkage. But you'll easily see that they are not specific to data sharing per se. You could ask this about euthanasia or stem cell research or the price of tea. So we should not fool ourselves in thinking that this is merely an academic exercise. When I speak about navigating a policy valley of death, I'm talking about serious, high-stakes discussions that involve not simply quality data, not simply engagement, but involve the way we think about how we want ourselves to be governed. I think this is what Marshall McLuhan was really worried about when he talked about the data banks and our non-existence. Thank you very much.